What's up, everyone? Eli Berkovitz here, ready to break down the Packers draft, night one, preview day two. A lot to talk about. Obviously, Jordan Morgan being the pick last night, which we're going to get to, but a lot of rumors, a lot of stuff going around today, which also obviously we'll also have to talk about some of the guys they passed on. Everyone in the watching, come in the chat, tell me how you feel about the Jordan Morgan pick. What are you hoping for tonight? Trade up, trade down, stick and pick 4 times. Tonight's the night. Like, for anyone who really was like disappointed about the Morgan pick or thought it could have been more exciting, number one, we're going to get to Morgan, but that's kind of a pick you should at this point come to expect from the Packers. But we have 4 picks tonight, 4 picks in the top 100 and the top 91 to make a ton of room, ton of additions to the team with, or trade up, trade back, get even more picks. A lot of options, a lot to do. So it's really exciting. And before we even get to Jordan Morgan, let's just talk about tonight real quick and what could be the biggest news of the night, at least for Packer fans. And I tweeted it about an hour ago, maybe a bit more. But I have heard, NFL Network earlier today reported that the Packers are one of the teams looking to trade up in the draft tonight to get to the top of the second round. Not overly surprising, honestly. Exciting, but not surprising. So once I saw that report, I asked around to the few people who are willing to talk to me, and I was told that Cooper DeJean would be the target if the Packers were to trade up. Again, we don't know if the Packers are going to trade up. Who knows if what I was told is even true. During draft season, there's a lot of smoke screens and subterfuge, as Goody said the other day. I'm just saying what I was told by someone that I generally trust is that Cooper DeJean would be the pick if they were to trade up tonight early. Kenny, not a ton about. The 4 picks in the second and third round, I would say is a ton. Can't tell the tone of what your comment is, but I would say 4 picks in the second and third round is a lot and plenty to do with, plenty to work with, I should say. But we'll see about Cooper DeJean. We'll see about a trade up. Let's get to Jordan Morgan, and then we will get to our mock draft and discuss just in general some players that I still think should be on the Packers' radar and guys I really like for tonight for the Packers. So Jordan Morgan, 25. I tweeted it out when it happened. I'm both surprised and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised in the fact that Jordan Morgan is the most Packer in the history of football. I mean, the guy is everything the Packers want: versatility, high RAS score, young, just everything that they like to see, he does. Now, you could talk about his arm length. It's a little bit shorter than some of the other tackles that drafted. We'll get into that. I'm not overly concerned about 1/8 of an inch or whatever it is on his arms. Like, come on. So Jordan Morgan, 6'5", 311 pounds, 22 years old. He only allowed 3 sacks in 2 years, and over the last 2 seasons. First team All Pac-12, 9.24 RAS as a tackle, 9.82 RAS as a guard. We don't know if he'll be tackle or guard, and that's part of the greatness of Jordan Morgan, is that he could do it all. Goody said multiple times already, he thinks he can play 4 positions for us. Now, I do think it's important to mention that he was listed as a tackle. They didn't just give him the OL, listing on the roster. They gave him tackle. So that's interesting to see. I would like to think if you drafted at 25 and you drafted an offensive lineman in the first round, you would hope that guy will develop into a tackle. Now, again, Rasheed Walker and Zach Tom are currently a tackle, so you can make the argument they don't need a tackle right now. But we've heard rumors Zach Tom might be at center. Rasheed Walker, we're excited about him, but we're not. I don't think anyone's claiming he is the future at left tackle, no doubt. So there's still competition to be had. Morgan, he could be a tackle. He could end up a guard. Neither would surprise me. But speaking of the short arms, I feel like that has been the main criticism. Usually I like to start positive and go negative. But we'll do a little negative first, and then we'll go positive to finish it off on a good note. But yeah, a little bit shorter arms than what they generally draft. But that's not enough for me to push the needle on liking a pick or not liking a pick, 1/8 of an inch. Like, that's just a little bit insane. For me, I'm more concerned not about the length of his arms, but just how he's using his arms. The film I've watched so far, and there's still more to watch for sure. I've not gone through all of it. But what I have seen, you'll just see his arms. he's just late. He's late to get his arms out, and then he allows the defender to make first contact and get better position, and then he gets bull rushed, or the guy just beats him on the inside shoulder and beats him to the inside gap. So this is not obviously on every single snap, but I would say the most common that I've seen him get beat so far is with bull rush. It just seems like sometimes he gets too wide in his stance and he just doesn't have any leverage or any good balance, and two arms to the chest, and he's backpedaling, 5 feet into the quarterback's lap. Obviously not something you want to see, but something I think just with some technique work with his footwork will solve a lot of those issues. And speaking of his feet, I think he is, for a, 311-pound man, 6'4", 6'5", incredibly nimble, just like light on his feet, like really good, just quickness, agility, and like that's where the athleticism comes in. That's where the high RAS score comes in. Like he's going to be able to pull out, right? He's going to be able to pull on any outside run and get out and make a block downfield. He get to the second level, block linebackers and safeties at the second level. In the screen game, he's going to be a monster. He will be able to get out well in front of a screen pack. Like I think that is kind of his whole game. Sort of is like his athleticism, his ability. I want to say speed, but almost like his quickness. For being a bigger guy. He does have speed. I think he ran like a 5:04 40, which for a tackle is very fast. So let me just throw up real quick. I almost forgot to do this. Let's throw up some of this film here. Okay, you see him at left tackle. And again, these are obviously, I wish I would have clipped some of the negatives. This is really more of a positives because, I like to keep things positive, but also real. There are obviously things, yes, that have to be worked on with him. But to a lot of people, he is behind Joe Alt, the most pro-ready tackle, offensive lineman prospect in this class. Like I've heard multiple people, whether it's from scouts or executives, people within the NFL, think very highly, at the very least, of what he is capable of doing early on. 37 starts in college. That's obviously a lot. Dane Brugler from The Athletic, very good, obviously, covering the draft, has him as his number 2 guard prospect. Again, guard, tackle, versatility. We'll see what they end up doing with him. But people are high on Jordan Morgan. Like it may have seemed like a surprise last night, but let's just be honest. If the draft went closer to the way people thought it would go, and Terrion Arnold and Quinyon Mitchell weren't available in the mid-20s, and Cooper DeJean wasn't available, like I think people would just feel like, all right, great. We got a good offensive lineman. I mean, you see here just now with him, he gets bull rushed a bit, but he's able to go and get his balance back. And that is something that I have seen. While I do get nervous about the bull rush, he is able to kind of anchor himself because he does have a very strong lower body. So I know I kind of spoke about a bunch of things other than the film we just watched, but to sum it up with Jordan Morgan, I think he is someone who, could he start week 1 this year for the Packers if they needed him to? I do think they could. I think he could. I would prefer they had him sit at least for a bit, just because, number one, I don't see a clear automatic hole on the offensive line right now. Like you could argue Sean Ryan, we don't know what he's going to be, but also Jordan Morgan has never played on the right side. So to assume he can just go play right guard in week 1 is a little bit of a big assumption. So I'm not going to just assume that that's what's going to happen. I think he will compete with Rasheed Walker at left tackle. I think he'll compete with Sean Ryan at right guard. I think if they want to put Zach Tom at center, which again, who knows if they actually want to do that. I don't know if I would personally, but if they do, he might just be your right tackle and there might not even be much of a competition. Obviously, he will have to not be terrible, but I don't expect that to be the case. So a lot of options for Morgan. He could be depth. He could end up starting at right guard, right tackle. Who knows? I mean, he might even beat Rasheed Walker at left tackle. Bill Belichick said he's a left tackle through and through. I mean, Bill Belichick spoke glowingly on Jordan Morgan. If you want to see, go check that out either on Pat McAfee's page or I retweeted the video. But Jordan Morgan, again, I would have been more excited about the pick if there was not the fact that Terrion Arnold was picked by the Lions, the pick before us on a trade up, and Quinyon Mitchell, who was thought to be a top 12 to 15 pick, wasn't available until 22 when the Eagles got him. I think it was 22. So, you know, it is what it is. Offensive line, again, it's not like it's the most exciting thing, but I wrote for Packer Report about a month ago saying that offensive line was a bigger need than defensive back, then cornerback, then safety. Because at the end of the day, you have Jordan Love, you have all these pieces on offense. None of it means anything if you can't protect him. Like we saw it obviously with Aaron Rodgers, but we see it all the time. Great quarterbacks, when they're consistently pressured, they're just not as great. And obviously average quarterbacks, when they're pressured, become simply bad. So you need to be able to protect the quarterback. Jordan Morgan, I am pleased with the pick. I think it is something that in the long run is going to be exactly what this team needs. He'll compete at all 4 spots, and I'm excited to see how it goes. But now let's jump into a quick mock draft. I will just say before we even get started here, obviously because Cooper DeJean was so expected to be a first-round pick, PFF wants to just basically give him to the Bills with the first pick of the second round. But the Bills, I mean, almost everyone thinks they will be going wide receiver. I don't see them picking Cooper DeJean. So if it was to be Cooper DeJean with the Bills, I will just restart it because, spoiler alert, I am going to go with the information I was told that the Packers are trying to trade up for DeJean, and I'm just going to hope that that ends up being the case. For the record, my prediction going into this draft was Kool-Aid McKinstry for the Packers, someone I would still be thrilled with at 31. Again, we'll get into some players I want to see tonight get drafted for the Packers, but let's just start this mock draft real quick. Again, if the Bills take Cooper DeJean here, we'll just have to do a quick restart, but I don't think they will even. All right, let's do it. It would be funny, though, if they did, right? I see it. Hilarious. Right in my face. It's like I'm trying to live my life, and they do it just right in my face. Don't worry. We will, it'll work. It'd be unfortunate if they took him again. That's hilarious. For everyone watching, I did this like 5 times before, and only 1 time did they have taken Cooper DeJean. So kind of feels disrespectful to do it now that I'm doing this right now. Let's give it another shot. If it doesn't work, I might just have to move off my plan. What in the world? Last one. If they take DeJean, then obviously I'm just gonna have to sit and we'll pivot. You know, doesn't always work out the way you want. It's really more, I just don't even think it's real that the Bills would take it. You know, they need a receiver. Ooh, there you go. There you go. All right. I actually think, I'm just going to say, I think the trade happens with the Cardinals, not the Patriots, but I'm just not going to take that risk right now and have them pick Cooper DeJean and start this over again. So here we go. Packers get 41 and their 4th round pick, 126, to move up to 34 with the Patriots. Again, I think it ends up being 35 with the Cardinals, but let's do that. Here's the trade. Packers come up, get Cooper DeJean. Green Bay goes insane. Absolute chaos. Very exciting. And now I'll let it go fast. I don't see another trade right here. I could see a trade up from 88, honestly. So we'll get into some of that. But let's just real quick look at some of these. By the way, okay. Did you see all this? All right. I haven't even checked the screen. So if you couldn't see any of this, it would have been terrible. But some guys that I think could be on the Packers' radar that are not named Cooper DeJean, Kool-Aid McKinstry right here, definitely. Peyton Wilson is honestly one of the few players in this draft that, like, I really don't want the Packers to draft. So it sucked now that I said that if they drafted him. But that's just how I feel about him. Johnny Newton is an option. A lot of people saw him as a top 20 pick. In the 2nd round could definitely be an option. Max Melton, of course, Bo Melton's brother. Kingsley Sua-Mateo was someone they talked about in the 1st round. I don't think they draft him now after taking Morgan right there. Rakestraw and Saintsville, I don't really see as Packer types. Saintsville's more of a nickel. Rakestraw's athletic testing doesn't really live up to what the Packers want. Tyler Nubin I love. I would be thrilled with him. But again, terrible RAS. I don't think the Packers pick him. Javon Bullard, another safety I really like. If he was on the board at 58, I would have maybe taken him, and I think the Packers also could. Roger Rosengard, another tackle that got some late 1st-round hype, but I don't think the Packers would take him because of the Jordan Morgan pick, of course. So here we are. We are at 58. We have taken Cooper DeJean and Jordan Morgan, and I feel the clear. I mean, I'll tell you who I'm thinking. You know, Chris Jenkins is a thought. Jaden Hicks. I love Jaden Hicks, but I just feel like safety is deeper in this class than inside linebacker. And Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, Christian Haynes, really exciting guard prospect, could be an option at this spot, even with the Jordan Morgan pick. But I'm going to go Edgerrin Cooper, put him next to Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie, and really solidify the middle of the defense. But I will say, that I'm going to slow things down here and keep an eye, maybe for a trade up. If one of these guys, if Jaden Hicks starts to fall, we'll see how that goes. Let's take Cooper at 58. So we got Jordan Morgan, Cooper DeJean. Oh, all right. I guess we're not going to go slow. Let's see if Jaden Hicks. Oh, well, Jaden Hicks won. So that's just a slap in the face. So at this point, I guess we'll just kind of let it go. We traded up once. I think the Packers could stick at 88 and 91. But I will say, if they don't trade up at the top of the second, I really, really think that they could trade up from 88, because 58 to 88 is a big gap. I don't know if Goody is going to want to wait all that time. So we'll see how that goes. Now the question that comes into play is Cooper DeJean a safety or a corner? And realistically, I'm going to say he's a safety for the Packers' thought process here. I just don't think I see him playing outside corner in the NFL. Maybe they'll try him there, but I think he's going to end up a safety. I really do. So I'm going to just put DeJean in at safety. So then now it's as if we have not touched corner, and I would want to get a corner with one of these two picks. And I may also grab, so I'm thinking about a running back or a corner, but here I want to get Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon, a guy that's kind of gone onto the radar, but someone that I actually think would fit the way the Packers draft and would be a pretty good fit in Hafley's defense. So Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon. So again, to recap real quick, we have Cooper DeJean to trade up, Edgerrin Cooper at 58, and then Kyrie Jackson at 88, and Marshawn Lloyd got drafted right here. I probably would have went with him at 91, so I kind of feel a little bit offended by the Bucs, kind of feel a little bit hurt, a little bit betrayed. So now Austin Booker, definitely consideration. Renato Green, definitely consideration. And then Cooper Beebe, I think, is definitely consideration. I don't know anyone else I'm really considering right now. We just took Kyrie Jackson. So Renato Green is not an option. I don't know why I said that. So edge or guard. I can make the argument for both, but I'm actually going to go with Austin Booker, the edge, because realistically, you got Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, and Lucas Van Ness. Kingsley Enagbare towards ACL at the end of the year. We don't know when he's going to be back. I do really like him, but also, he's a fifth-round pick. I don't think we can, expect him to become a real star per se. I do think he's a great rotational piece, though. Preston Smith, I don't know if he's on the team next year, considering his age and his contract. And then you're just left with Gary and Van Ness. And Van Ness we haven't really seen as an edge player yet consistently. We've seen him inside, we've seen him outside. So we also just haven't seen him play a full amount of snaps yet. He was a rookie. It's not surprising. But I'm going to go Austin Booker. Edge rusher is a premier position in the NFL. You got to add to that position. And you have to be set there for the future, plain and simple. You cannot be short on pass rushers in the NFL. It would be unfortunate if this didn't go through, which has been a problem with PFF recently. All right. So Jordan Morgan at 25, Cooper DeJean at 34 with a trade up, Edgerrin Cooper at 58, linebacker, Kyrie Jackson at 88, Austin Booker to finish it out in round 3 at 91. So essentially hitting most of the biggest needs on this team. What's up, bro? I didn't see that till now. Appreciate you popping in. But yeah, I mean, if tonight goes like this, I think every single Packer fan will be incredibly thrilled and very excited, myself included. And it's not just because of the DeJean pick. You need to address linebacker. Edgerrin Cooper does that. You need a cornerback. Again, assuming DeJean's a safety. I could be wrong in that assumption, but I think Kyrie Jackson is a good piece to work with. Not necessarily day one lockdown kind of guy, but definitely something to work with. Ooh, my cat almost just broke everything. And then lastly, Austin Booker, edge out of Kansas, I think adds a good amount of depth to the Packers edge group. You need to have a good rotation there. So that is my day 2 mock draft for the Packers. Obviously, probably none of those picks will end up happening because I just put them out into the universe. So if it doesn't happen, you can blame me. That'll be my fault. But I'm really excited for tonight. Again, I think tonight's the biggest night of the draft for the Packers. I mean, you can make the argument, even if they only had their regular 2 picks, second and third, that it would be biggest. But when you have 4 picks on day 2, that's going to be, like they say, the meat and the meat and potatoes of your draft. That is going to be the heart of your draft. You need to hit on some picks tonight. They have some needs they have to fill: corner, safety, linebacker, running back, edge, more offensive line depth. There's a lot of ways they could go with it. I'm very excited. A position I haven't mentioned yet that I would say is a dark horse: receiver. It's a very deep class. If a guy they love happens to fall to them, they might take it. When you have 4 picks on day 2, they may view one of those picks as a luxury pick and go for a receiver, or go for, some more offensive line depth, just whatever they kind of love that's left for them. Either way, going to be a very exciting night. I really hope I did not, get people's hopes up about the Gene and then it doesn't happen, because that would suck and I would feel bad about it. But everyone, we will, I'm sure, discuss all this more on Twitter throughout the rest of the night. Appreciate you for tuning in. We got about an hour and a half until the start of the second round. It's going to be a really fun night. Thank you for coming in. See you next time. Go Pack Go.